Hello everyone, this hour on Verbling, the next in my great short story series. We're working on part 2 of short story 16, which is Dennis Johnson's Emergency. We'll also be discussing, after we finish reading, we'll be discussing, we're going to finish our discussion of short story 15, which I think we didn't really get a chance to cover adequately. So we'll try to have a kind of two-part discussion in this class if we have time. This class is, the short story is pretty short, so maybe we'll be able to get to both. Well, before we do that, first a little bit about me. I'm Jon-Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. Here are 3 quick rules to help you participate. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up, which means turn off your microphone when you're not speaking so we can keep the classroom nice and quiet. Tune in to the new words that you're learning when you are speaking so that I can give you corrections and feedback. And finally, open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. So that's a little bit about me. And here, by the way, here is the link that I posted for you for short story 16. So if you don't have it open or download it, you can open it up. You'll know you're in the right place because you'll see that graphic. All right. Well, let's get started here. I'm hearing a lot of feedback from somebody. I don't know who it is. I muted you, Luau, but I think maybe it wasn't you. I don't know. So let's just say hello to everyone. Hello, Carmen and Yuki. Welcome back. And Luo, hello. Nice to see you. Luo, did you have a chance to read the stories already?
No, I haven't. I just just saw this class, an interest class.
Well, maybe with the first one, you'll pick up where we left off because we actually need to finish reading it. It's very short. So, because I did mention you should read them before the class, but this one's so short that maybe we can just pick up where we left off, because actually, it's really only a couple of pages. So, what do you think, everyone? Why don't we finish reading Emergency, because it's just a few pages, and then we'll go into our discussion. Does that sound okay?
Okay, I will.
Yeah?
Yeah, okay.
All right. So, in the last class, I think we covered, hang on just a second here. Let me just see, because I think we didn't get very far. Ooh, there's a typo there. I don't know what that's about. Hold on a second here. Yuki, Carmen, remind me where we stopped here, because I'm looking through it. It was after the guy...
When they just left the hospital because they wanted to drive around.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay, let me just see if I can find this. Yeah, it's this one. After a while, you forget it's summer, right?
Let's go to the county fair and that sort of thing.
Okay. All right, yeah, we can pick up there. So look, Lua wasn't here before. The problem is I'd almost like to read this from the beginning, but I guess maybe it's a little too long to do that. Because I think that we missed a lot. Because it's all dialogue, and I feel like after I read it again, I think that... Let me just see here. Let me just, if I go back to the beginning in one place. Okay, I'll tell you what. Yuki, Carmen, do you think you could just quickly summarize the beginning? Who's involved? Where does it happen? What do we know about the story so far? Because I think, Luo, we can't read everything. I might just pick up a little passage from the beginning. But can you bring him up to speed?
Go ahead,
Well,
Yuki.
okay. Well, the scene of this story is in the hospital.
The setting
Uh,
of the story, setting.
the setting of this story is in the hospital. In the hospital, I don't know when. Mm, May possibly it happens in the midnight or early in the morning. Uh, pro- Protagonist of this story is a worker, office worker in the hospital.
A clerk, actually. A clerk.
A clerk, yes. He's batching the insurance report now. But there is there is nothing to do for him. He has a friend. Friend's name is George.
Georgie.
Yes, George. George.
Georgie.
Georgie. Georgie is cleaning the operation room with a mop.
Operating room.
Operating room. And his behavior is a little strange. He used to steal a drug from hospital. Maybe he take a drug. And there is a sister. Sister.
Sister?
No.
Sister? No.
Miss sister.
Sister? Wait a second. What do you mean by sister? There's a nurse.
A nurse.
Yeah.
There is a nurse. She hates the doctor. Doctor's name is Happy Man. Happy. Family Man. Family Man.
The doctor is he's like someone that was sent there from some. Hold on a second. Oh, the family services or something like
family
that?
Service, yes, family
Right,
service.
right, that's it. So he doesn't really belong in the hospital, and does he know what he's doing, Yuki?
Sorry?
Is he a good doctor?
I think it seems that he's not so skillful doctor.
Right.
When the patient came to hospital with a knife on his eye, he said that he's not confident, maybe.
Okay, let's look at that part
Kind of
again.
this. Mhm.
Let's take a look at that part because that's one of the parts I think we.
Yeah.
And the first time we read it, the dialogue is so important that I think we might have kind of missed a point here.
Doctor gathered the three of us around him and said, "Here's the situation. We've got."
Let's go back. Let's go back. Hold on a second here. Hold on. Because the dialogue is really important. Give me just a second here. Okay, here we go. So look, just follow along for a second, everyone. On the bottom of page 5, there's a little typo here. I don't know what happened. When I downloaded the document, something weird happened here, but ignore that. So we're going to pick it up here. I'm going to read this part because I just want to capture the dialogue really clearly. But then we're going to move forward to the second half of the story where we left off. Okay?
It's early in the morning, yeah.
Yeah. Around 3:30 a.m., a guy with a knife in his eye came in, led by Georgie. Nurse. I hope you didn't do that to him, Nurse said. Me? Georgie said. No, he was like that. My wife did it, the man said. The blade was buried to the hilt in the outside corner of his left eye. It was a hunting knife kind of thing. By the way, buried to the hilt. Does anyone know what that means?
Yeah, the hilt of the knife.
Uh-huh.
The bottom
So,
of it.
so in
That-
other words,
Mhm.
so in a more simple way, how could you say that?
You stuck it all inside the eye.
The knife was completely inside the guy's head, up to the handle, right? It was buried. Not a situation. And would you expect him to be talking?
No.
No, you'd expect him to be dead. But he talks back. Oh, my wife did it. Who brought you in? Nurse said. Nobody. I just walked down. It's only 3 blocks, the man said. Nurse peered at him. We'd better get you lying down. Okay, I'm certainly ready for something like that, the man said. She peered a bit longer into his face. Is your other eye a glass eye? It's plastic or artificial, something like that, he said. And you can see out of this eye? She asked, meaning the wounded one. I can see, but I can't make a fist out of my left hand because the knife is doing something in my hand. God, the nurse said. I guess I'd better get the doctor, I said. There you go. By the way, I is the narrator of the story, I said, and I stole, the narrator, stole the pills, the pills that Georgie had stolen, right? He confiscated them, but he ended up eating them himself. So he's not in good shape either. There you go, nurse agreed. They got him lying down, and Georgie says to the patient, name? Terrence Weber. Your face is dark. I can't see what you're saying. Georgie, I said. What are you saying, man? I can't see. Nurse came over, and Georgie said to her, his face is dark. She leaned over the patient. How long ago did this happen, Terry? She shouted down. Oh, I see. He can't hear her. He can't see what she's saying, so she's talking to him like he's deaf. How long ago did this happen, Terry? She shouted down to his face. Oh, just a while ago. My wife did it. I was asleep, the patient said. Do you want the police? He thought about it and finally said, not unless I die. Nurse went to the intercom and buzzed the doctor on duty, the family service person. In other words, he doesn't really belong at the hospital, or he's not like the normal emergency room doctor or whatever. He's someone different. Got a surprise for you, she said over the intercom. He took his time getting down the hall because he knew she hated family service, and her happy tone of voice could only mean something beyond his competence and potentially humiliating. So this guy knows what he's getting into. He peeked into the trauma room and saw the situation. The clerk, that is me, standing next to the orderly, Georgie, both of us on drugs, looking down at the patient with a knife sticking up out of his face. What seems to be the trouble? He said. The doctor greeted the 3 of us around him in the office and said, all right, here's the situation. We've got to get an entire team. We got to get a team here, an entire team. I want a good eye man, a great eye man, the best eye man. I want a brain surgeon, and I want a really good gas man. Give me a genius. I'm not touching that head. I'm just going to watch this one. I know my limits. We'll just get him prepped and sit tight. Orderly? Do you mean me? Georgie said. Should I get him prepped? Is this a hospital? The doctor said. Is this an emergency room? Is that a patient? Are you the orderly? I dialed the hospital operator and told her to get me the eye man and the brain man and the gas man. he probably said exactly. Hello? Get me the eye man, the brain man, and the gas man. Georgie could be heard across the hall washing his hands and singing a Neil Young song that went, Hello, cowgirl in the sand. Is this place at your command? That person is not right. Not at all. Not one bit, the doctor said. Whoops. Okay, I'll just read this last part. As long as my instructions are audible to him, it doesn't concern me, nurse said, spooning stuff out of a little Dixie cup. Remember, she's described as being kind of big, I think. I've got a life of my own and the protection of my family to think of. Well, okay, don't chew my head off, the doctor said. Okay, so there's the situation. The guy with the knife stuck in his eye, the incompetent doctor, and the narrator and his friend on drugs. I think we're going to... Oh, wait, but there's something important that we missed here. Hold on. There's something important here. Okay.
Sorry, last paragraph. There is a expression. Nurse insisted splitting stuff up out of little Dick's cup.
Yeah,
Dixie
she likes
cup.
to eat.
I
likes
don't understand here. I have no image of this.
Well,
What is a Dixie cup?
a Dixie cup is a little paper cup, and probably in the canteen they sell, cheap hospital desserts in little Dixie cups. And she's described earlier as being kind of fat. So we get that reminder later on where she's spooning stuff. It doesn't matter what it is, because she's probably just always shoveling things in her face, probably. So we don't know. But she's eating something. Okay, this next part is kind of important too. I know we read it, but I think we missed something really important here. So Yuki, take over.
Okay. The airman was on vacation or something, while the hospital's operator called around to find something else just as good. The other specialists were hurrying through the night to join us. I stood around looking at the charts and chewing up more of George's pellets. Some of them tasted the way urine smells.
Let's think about that for a second. Some of them tasted the way urine smells. Just think about that for a second. Okay, go ahead.
Some of them tasted the way urine smells. Some of them burned. Some of them talked like chalk.
Tasted like chalk.
Sorry, tasted like chalk. Various nurses and two physicians who'd been tending somebody in ICU were hanging out down here with us now. Everybody had a different idea about exactly how to approach the problem of removing the knife from Terence Weber's brain. But when Georgie came in from pepping the patient, from shaving the patient's eyebrow, and disinfecting the area around the wound, and so on, he seemed to be holding the hunting knife in his right hand. That talk just dropping off a cliff.
Right. Why did the talk drop off a cliff? I think we missed this point the first time we read it. What just happened here? Why did the talk stop? All these people are there. What are they talking about? All the people from the hospital are kind of in the room now talking. What are they talking about? Is that clear?
Yes.
What are they talking about, Carmen?
Because they don't know how to stick the knife out of this guy's head, so just thinking about it, how are they going to do it? And all of a sudden, Georgie comes, and he has done it himself. So
he took the knife out of the guy's head.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We kind of glossed over that the first time, so I wanted to make sure it's clear. He seemed to be holding the hunting knife in his left hand. How did he do it? That's the key here. How did he do it? The talk just dropped off the cliff, right? Keep going to this last part here, Yuki.
Where? The doctor asked finally. Did you get that?
You have to put in the dramatic pause. Where? Pause. Did you get that?
Nobody said one thing more. No, for quite a long time. After a while, one of the ICU nurses said, "Your shoelace is untied." Georgie laid the knife on the chart and bent down to fix his shoe.
Right, because there's not much else to say, so Your shoelace is untied. Okay, let's keep going. Carmen, why don't you pick it up in the next section? Because we're pretty much back where we left off. So why don't you pick it up there on page whatever we are, 11.
There were 20 more minutes left to get through. How's the guide doing? I asked. Who? Georgie said. It turned out that Terence Weber still had excellent vision in one good eye, an acceptable motor and reflex, despite his earlier motor complaints. His vitals are normal, Nurse said. There's nothing wrong with the guy. It's one of those things. After a while, you forget it's summer. You don't remember what the morning is. I've worked 2 doubles with 8 hours off in between, which I spent sleeping on a gurney in the nurse's station. You said gurney is kind of a truck?
Gurney.
No, a stretcher. That's it.
Stretcher. Gurney.
Okay. George's pills were making me feel like a giant helium-filled balloon, but I was wide awake. Georgie and I went out to the lot, to his orange pickup. That's the truck.
That's a truck.
Okay then. We lay down on a stretch of dusty plywood in the back of the truck with the daylight knocking against our eyelids and the fragrance of alfalfa.
Alfalfa, yeah.
Like the donkey seed?
No, like people eat.
Alfalfa? Wait, in Spanish is
It's not the same. It's not the same.
Okay. Thickening on our tongues.
Yeah. Does anyone? I don't understand why the fragrance of alfalfa, except that it's, if the pills taste the way urine smells and some are chalky and some burn, I suppose it's from that. I don't know. But alfalfa is something you put on sandwiches. It's like light, almost very moist, green, nutritious stuff that you put on. You can put on a sandwich. Alfalfa sprouts.
It's quite weird to me because that's the one we use. Yeah.
It's not like in Portuguese.
It's like an herb.
Yeah, but it sprouts. It sprouts. So it's like the shoots of the plant when they're growing. But
okay.
But it's definitely not for donkeys. It's for people. I'm sure that donkeys would enjoy them too. But I don't quite understand what the fragrance of alfalfa thickening on our tongue means, except that it's got something to do with the pills. I'm not quite sure. It's confusing. I don't know. But anyway,
they are high on everything. They would just smell whatever you.
They're high on alfalfa too, right? I don't know.
That's it.
Maybe. But you have to picture this. The sunlight is knocking against our eyelids. I mean, that's a great description. Why do you think the sunlight is? Why is the daylight knocking against our eyelids? Why is it knocking? Why isn't it just, it's bright out? No. Why is it knocking against our eyelids?
Because they were inside the hospital before. They were not used to the daylight. Now they get out at the daylight, and it's like, it's like a thump on the eyes. It's like I don't know, explain it. It's like
it's like hitting them hard. And also we've got this idea that it's something new is happening. So it's like a new day. I don't know. Someone knocking at your door. I don't know. Because you forget it's summer. So it seems like you forget what season is when you're working doubles. You forget what time of day it is. You don't remember that it's morning. So it's also kind of the idea of something new. Someone's knocking at your door, showing up. But yeah, also that they've been in the darkness all this time. Okay, so Luo, why don't you pick it up here from this dialogue at the end of 12? We'll just keep going around. There's a lot of dialogue, so actually the story is a lot shorter than it seems. Go ahead, Luo.
I want to go to church, Georgie said. Please scroll down, yes. They have these injured hawks and eagles there from the Humane Society, I said. I need a quiet chapel about now. Georgie and I had a terrific time driving around.
Wait, a terrific time?
Terrific time driving around. For a while the day was clear and peaceful. It was one of the moments you stay in. To hell with all the troubles of before and after. The sky is blue, and the dead are coming back. Later in the afternoon, with sad resignation, the county fair bears its breasts, a champion of the LSD. A very famous of the Love Generation is being interviewed amid a TV crew off the left of the poetry cages. His eyeballs look like he bought them in a joke shop. It doesn't occur to me as
It
I
doesn't. Wait,
pity
wait. It
this.
doesn't occur to me. Occur.
It doesn't occur to me as I pity this
Extraterrestrial. Extra.
extraterrestrial,
Yeah.
extraterrestrial, and that in my life I've taken as much acid as he has.
Right. Acid is LSD, the '60s
Uh,
drug.
yeah.
Why? Why do his eyeballs look like he bought them in a joke shop? Why do you think?
Eyeballs look like he bought them in a joke shop
How
because
how do they
he
look?
how do, because he has I think took a lot of drug. He
Right.
poisoned him.
Not poison. He's just out of his mind. His eyes are probably really red, kind of
Mhm.
bulging. Maybe his pupils are really dilated. And you think back to those novelty gifts. I mean, when I was growing up, you can go to a novelty store and buy a pair of glasses where the eyeballs were on springs and would bounce around, right?
Mhm.
So you can picture what he's like. Okay,
Yeah.
is it clear where they are? Where are they now, Luau? Where are they? Are they in the
Uh,
hospital?
yes, I guess they are in
No,
the
no, no, they're not. Look, the sky is blue. With sad resignation, the county fair bears its breasts.
yeah,
So
they're out of the hospital.
they're out of the hospital. They're out at the county fair, and I suppose the county fair, sadly,
Mhm.
reveals itself to them. In other words, maybe the county fair isn't so happy to see them because they're in a bad state. What time period is this? Now we can see exactly when this is. When was the love generation?
When was the Love Generation?
Yeah, when do you think that was?
A
The
Love
70s.
Gen.
Yeah, this is probably the '70s because it's a champion of the love generation. The Summer of Love was 1967, so this is probably like early '70s, right? So
Mhm.
these are people that are still living in the '60s, even though the '60s have kind of moved on, right? And and this guy is judging the guy being interviewed on television, although he realizes he calls him an extraterrestrial, like ET, but he's done just as many drugs as this guy has. Just so we're clear. So yeah, it's probably the early '70s. All right, keep going, Luel.
They had rights, I said. I didn't see one right. A jackrabbit scurried out in front of us, and we hit it. There was a merry-go-round, a Ferris wheel, and a thing called the hammer that people were bent over vomiting from after they got off. I said, "Are you completely blind?" What was that? A rabbit. Something thumped. You hit him, he thumped. Uh, Georgie stood on the brake pedal. Rabbits do.
Right. I don't know who's speaking. I think it's Georgie. What is Georgie thinking after he finds out they hit the rabbit? What does he mean
Uh,
by rabbits do?
Rabbits do. Georgie
Do you
stood on brake pedal. Rabbits do.
What's stew?
So Stu
Stew.
thought, yes, he want to cook it.
He wants to cook it.
Mhm.
So so Georgie doesn't notice it. The narrator is saying, Georgie notices it. The narrator just completely ignores it. What was that? Oh, you hit a rabbit. Really? Rabbits do. So you can see they've got their priorities straight. I think it's weird. I thought we were missing a page, but I guess not. Okay. Um, so let's head back to Yuki. We'll go around the room again.
Okay. Sorry. He threw the truck in reverse and zigzagged back towards the rabbit. What's my hunting knife?
Wait. That's not what it says.
Where's
Where?
my
Yeah.
Where's my hunting knife? He almost ran over the poor animal a second time. We'll camp in the wilderness, he said.
Wilderness.
A wilderness. We'll camp in the wilderness, he said. In the morning, we'll breakfast on its haunches.
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 Haunches is the hind legs of an animal. You can also be on your haunches if you're squatting down, not sitting, but kind of squatting like an animal. So it's kind of an expression. In the morning, we'll break fast on its haunches. So I guess the wilderness is like an animal, and they're mountain men suddenly.
Hey, I don't understand. Breakfast on its haunches. What does it mean?
We'll make breakfast on the haunches of the wilderness. In other words, we'll be on the edge of the wilderness, I suppose. He's kind of talking like the wilderness is alive. Kind of. It's not clear to me either. I don't know why he's saying that.
Okay. He was waving Terrace Weber's hunting knife around in what I was sure was a dangerous way. In a minute, he was standing at the edge of the field, cutting the scrawny little thing up, tossing away organs. Tossing away its organs. I should have been a doctor, he cried. Our family in Big Dodge, our only car we'd seen for a long time, slowed down and gawked out the window as they passed by. The father said, What is it? What is it? A snake? No, it's not a snake, George said. It's a rabbit from a baby's inside. Babies, the mother said, and the father sped the car forward over the protests of several little kids in the back.
Why are they protesting? Why do you think they're protesting? What do kids like?
The babies.
Well, two possibilities. Either they don't understand what they're looking at, they don't understand that he's cutting up a rabbit, or they understand perfectly well and they want to see the most disgusting thing they can possibly think of.
That's it.
So the parents don't want to see it, so they drive off. But the kids are like, babies! Right? Because he's cutting open the rabbit. Anyway.
Yeah,
maybe
but
it's that.
they are not interested in the rabbit. They want to see how the rabbit is cut up.
I think well, he found the babies inside the rabbit, as far as I can see, right? I think that's how it works. So the kids probably want to see some disgusting thing.
Yeah, all the mess.
I think. All right. Okay, Yuki, keep going.
George came back to my side of the truck, with his short front stretched out in front of him, as if he was carrying apples in it, on some such, but they were in fact slimy miniature bunnies. No way, I'm eating these things, I told him.
Because they're cutting up the rabbit, so no way I'm eating those things. Carmen?
Okay, take them, I got to drive, take them. He said, dumping them in my lap and getting in on his side of the truck. He started driving along faster and faster, with a look of glory on his face. We killed the mother and saved the children, he said. It's getting late, I said. Let's go back to town. You bet. 60, 70, 85, just topping 90.
90 what? 90 what?
the mile they're doing, no? That's the
90
speed.
miles per hour, right. He's
Mm-hmm.
speeding down the highway. What's
Mm-hmm.
the speed limit?
I don't know in the United States.
65.
Here,
65.
65. But those are miles, no kilometers.
Miles, right,
Okay then.
65 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Well, back then it was probably 55. I can't remember. I can't remember if it was, I think it, no, I think it was faster then and it's slower now. I can't remember. Anyway, it's around somewhere between 50 and 60. So
And he's doing
he's,
90. Yeah,
he's
he's
doing
doing
90 on
90.
drugs with
Mm-hmm.
miniature slimy baby bunnies. Yeah.
This rabbit's better be this rabbit's better be kept warm. And one at a time, I slid little things in between my shirt buttons and nestled them against my belly. They're hardly moving, I told Georgie. Well, we'll get some milk and sugar, all that, and we'll raise them up ourselves. They'll get as big as a gorilla. The road, the road we were lost on cut straight through the middle of the wood. It was still daytime, but the sun had no more power than an ornament or a sponge. In this light, the, the truck's hood, which had been bright orange, had turned into deep blue.
Hold on a second. There we go. Go ahead.
Georgie let us drift to the shoulder of the road, slowly, as if he had fallen asleep or given up trying to find his way. What is this? What is it? We can go on. I don't have any headlights, Georgie said. We parked under a strange sky with a faint image of a quarter moon superimposed on it. There was a little wood beside us. This day had been dry and hot. The back pines and wattle simmering patiently, but as we sat there smoking cigarettes, it started to get very cold.
By the way, look, the buck pines and what all. It's like saying everything else. What all? Everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's writing in the way that he speaks, and they're kind of from some kind of rural Midwestern area. You wouldn't talk that way in New York. But anyway, the day had been dry and hot. The buck pines and what all? The buck pines and everything else, shimmering patiently.
You mean all the scenery? He's cutting it short. Says what all for all the rest.
Yeah, he's cutting it short.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else in the woods is shimmering patiently, kind of
Okay.
glistening in the sunset.
Mm-hmm. The summer is over, I said. That was the year when Arctic clouds moved down over the Midwest, and we had 2 weeks of winter in September. Do you realize it's going to snow? George asked me. He was right. A gun blue storm was shaping up. We got out and chilled around idiotically. Is it idiotically?
No, I think that's
No.
that's
Idiotica chill.
no. I think it's because of Google Docs. When I download things, sometimes the text gets weird. So I think we got out and I don't even know. I don't know.
Idiotically? I don't know.
Idiotically? I'm not sure. Yeah, something's wrong there. Anyway.
The beautiful chill. That sudden creepiness and the tang of evergreen stabbing us.
The tang. Tang is like, we normally think of tang like taste. But here, it's probably the smell of the evergreens, the pine needles and those kind of trees, the sap from the trees. It's probably the smell of nature. Well, I'm sorry, Luo, why don't you pick it up here, this next part?
The guts of snow twisted themselves around our heads while the night fell. I couldn't find the truck. We just kept getting more and more lost. I kept calling, "George, can you see?" And I kept saying, "See what? See what?" The only light visible was a streak of sunset flickering below
Streak of sunset.
streak of sunset flickering below the hem of the clouds.
The hem is like the hem of your pants. The hem is like the little area at the bottom of your pant legs that has a stitch to keep them from, to fold it up and stitch it in place. So the hem of the clouds is like the bottom of the clouds. It's just
Like
kind
the
of
border,
like the
the
border,
edge.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
We bumped softly down a hill toward an open field that seemed to be a military graveyard, filled with rows and rows of austere,
Austere. Austere.
austere, austere, identical markers over soldiers' graves. I'd never before come across this
Cemetery.
cemetery on the farther side of the field, just beyond the curtains of snow. The sky was torn away and the
Angels.
angels were descending out of a brilliant blue summer, their huge faces streaked with night and full of pity. The sight of them cut through my heart and down the knuckles of my spine. And if there'd been anything in my bowels, I would have missed my pants from fear.
What does he see here? Is that clear what's going on? It's snowing, it's dark, but what does he see, Luo?
He sees something strange because he was on the pill. I think he has some illusion,
Some hallucinations.
hallucinations.
Not
It's
illusions.
hallucinations.
Hallucinations, right. So it's dark, it's night, it's snowing, and he sees a hole in the sky where he sees summer, blue skies, which that can't be because it's at night, and angels coming toward him, right?
Mhm.
Luckily, he hasn't eaten because he was so scared. He would have he would have made a bathroom stop without being at the bathroom. Right? Oh, sorry, I moved ahead. Sorry. Let me read this. Let me read this next. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Luau. No, you didn't read enough. Keep going.
Oh well, the only okay. George opened his arm and cried out, "It's driving, man! The driving!" I wasn't sure what these words meant.
What did those words mean? The drive-in.
It's driving. It's it's a way. It's a way to
Not
for
a way.
their
No.
driving
Not a way. It's a movie theater.
movie theater.
A drive-in movie theater. In
Mhm.
the old days, you used to park your car outside, and there'd be a giant screen in front of you, and you'd watch the movie in your car with your family, eating popcorn.
Mhm.
So what are those angels that he saw earlier?
Angels. I think angels would be the clouds and the shapes of.
No. He saw angels for real. He just thought he was hallucinating. He was looking at the movie. He was looking at the movie, the movie screen.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Clear?
Okay. Oh yeah.
So the guy is on pills, so everything is a bit weird, and he thinks he's seeing angels. He is seeing angels because there's a movie screen, which they can't really see it well because it's snowing, and then he thinks he's having this religious experience, and the other guy who's on more pills than he is says, "Oh, that's the driving." So they see the movie screen in the distance. So that's what he was seeing, right? And then he's a bit out of it, so he doesn't even understand what those means. We doesn't understand what it means. By the way, there's some bad language here. Sorry about that. You'll see on the next page. I should have edited it, but I didn't.
Uh, should I continue?
Sure.
Alright. They're showing movies in a fucking blizzard. George screamed. I see. I thought it was something else. I said.
He thought it was angels coming to get him. He thought it was something else. Sorry, go ahead.
We walked carefully down there and climbed through the busted fence and stood in the very back. The speakers, which I'd mistaken for grave makers, muttered
Markers.
in
You know, like the
markers.
gravestones in a cemetery. So they weren't gravestones, they were the speakers that the cars, you pull up to the speaker in your car so you can hear the movie. So they weren't gravestones, they were speakers.
Mhm. Okay, muttered in unison.
Unison. They
Unison.
all Unison. They all spoke at the same time. Unison is at the same time. We did it in
Okay.
unison. We did it at the same time.
Muttered in unison. Then there was tinkly music, of which I could very nearly make out the two. Famous movie stars rode bicycles beside the river, laughing out of their gigantic,
Gigantic.
gigantic, lovely mouths. If anybody had come to see this show, they'd left when the weather started. No, not one car remained, not even a broke-down one from last week, or one left here because it was out of gas. In a couple of minutes, in the middle of a whirling square dance, the screen turned black, the cinematic summer ended, the snow went dark, there was nothing but my breath.
So the summer was the summer in the movie. That's where the summer was coming from. And then the movie went off. Whoops. Hold on. Let me go back here. I'm starting to get my eyes back, Georgie said in another minute. A general grayness was giving birth to various shapes. It was true. But which ones are closed and which ones are far off? I begged him to tell me. By trial and error, but remember, the film ended, so now they're in the dark. They can't see anything. By trial and error, with a lot of walking back and forth in wet shoes, we found the truck and sat inside it, shivering. Let's get out there, I said. We can't go anywhere without headlights. We've got to get back. We're a long way from home. No, we're not. We must have come 306 miles. We're outside of town, fuckhead. We've just been driving around and around. So Georgie is the voice of reason here. The narrator thinks they drove across like to another country, right? This is no place to camp. I hear the interstate over there. We'll just stay here till it gets late. We can drive home late. We'll be invisible. We listened to big rigs going from San Francisco to Pennsylvania along the interstate, like shutters down a long hacksaw blade. The snow buried us. Eventually, Georgie said, we better get some milk for those bunnies. We don't have milk, I said. We'll mix sugar up with it. Will you forget about this milk of a sudden? Will you forget about this milk of a sudden? I think he means all of a sudden. They're mammals, man. Forget about those rabbits. Where are they anyway? You're not listening to me. I said forget the rabbits. Where are they anyway? The truth was, I'd forgotten all about them. They were dead. They slid behind me and got squashed, I said tearfully. That is the end of the bunnies. They slid around behind? He watched while I pried them out from behind my back. I picked them one at a time and held them in my hands, and we looked at them. They were 8. They weren't bigger than my fingers, but everything was there. Little feet, eyelids, even whiskers. Deceased, I said. Georgie asked, does everything you touch turn to shit? Does this happen to you every time? No wonder they call me fuckhead. It's a name that's going to stick. I realized that. Fuckhead is going to ride you to your grave. I just said so. I agreed with you in advance. How does he feel about killing the bunnies? Does he feel good?
No.
No, he doesn't feel very good. So he knows he's screwed up. Geez, this is taking longer than I thought. we got to finish the story. We at least have to finish it. Yuki, we're back to you on Or Maybe.
Or maybe that wasn't the time it snowed. Maybe it was the time we slept in the truck and rolled over on the bunnies and flattened them. It doesn't matter. What's important for me to remember now is that early the next morning, this snow was melted off the windshield, and the daylight woke me up. The mist covered everything, and with the sunshine was beginning to grow sharp and strange. The bunnies wasn't a problem yet, or they'd already been the problem and were already forgotten, and there was nothing on my mind. I felt the beauty of the morning. I could understand how the drawing man might.
Wait. I could understand how a drowning man.
I could understand how the drowning man might suddenly feel a deep thirst being quenched, or how the slave might become a friend of his master. Georgie slept with his face right on the steering wheel. I saw bits of snow resembling abundance of blossom on the stems of driving speakers. No, revealing the blossoms that was always there. A bull
Elk. Bull elk.
stood still.
That's the male elk, right? Because it's a bull, so it means it's the male elk, the one with the horns, or the big antlers, not horns, antlers.
Bull elk stood still in the pasture beyond the fence, giving off an air of authority and stupidity. And a coyote jogged across the pasture and faded away among the saplings. That afternoon, we got back to work in time to resume everything as if it had never stopped happening and we'd never been anywhere else. The Lord, the intercom said, is my shepherd. It did that each evening because this was a Catholic hospital. Our Father who art in heaven, and so on. Yeah, nurse said.
No, she says it like this. Yeah, whatever. She's heard it before.
Yeah, nurse said. The man with the knife in his head, Terence Weaver, was released around supper time. They'd kept him overnight and given him an eye patch, all for no reason, really. He stopped off at ER to say goodbye. Well, those pills they gave me make everything taste terrible, he said. It could have been worse, nurse said. Even my tongue. It's just a miracle you didn't end up sleepless or at least dead, she reminded him. The patient recognized me. He acknowledged me with a smile. I was peeping on the lady next door while she was out there sunbathing. He said, my wife decided to blind me. She shook George's hand. Georgie didn't know him. Who are you supposing to be? He asked Terence Weaver.
So now we know the mystery of why he ended up with a knife in his eye. And let that be a lesson to all of you, Yuki. Don't look at the girl next door sunbathing. Okay? Now we know what happens. Do you find it ironic in any way that Georgie doesn't remember Terence Weber? Do you find that strange? I do.
Yeah.
Why is it strange?
Which is strange because he stuck the knife out of his eye now.
He saved his life. He doesn't even remember. He saved the guy's life and he forgot about him already. Yeah.
He's sober now, I think. That's the reason.
Oh, maybe that's it. He's sobered up and now he can't remember. He's got to be stoned to remember. Maybe that's it. Well, let me just see how much we have left here. Hold on. Let's see if we can finish this.
Yeah, not much left.
We can do it. Okay, fine. Let's do it. I'm always late anyway. I can't help it. Okay, go ahead, Carmen. Take it away.
Some hours before that, Georgie had said something that had suddenly completely explained the difference between us. We'd, we'd been driving back towards Towerton, Towerton,
Wait. Toward
Towerton, okay,
toward town. I want to
town,
hear ow. Yeah.
toward town, along the old highway, through the flatness. We picked up a hitchhiker, a boy I knew.
Hitchhiker.
A hitchhiker, a boy I knew. We stopped the truck and the boy climbed slowly up out of the fields as out of the mouth of a volcano. His name was Hardy. He looked even worse than we probably did. We got all messed up and slept in the truck all night, I told Hardy. I had a feeling, Hardy said. Either that or, driving 1,000 miles. That too, I said. Or you're sick or diseased or something. Where are we? Who's this guy? George asked. This is Hardy. He lived with me last summer. I found him on the doorstep. What happened to your dog? I asked Hardy. He's still down there. Yeah, I hear you went to Texas. I was working on a bee farm, Hardy said. Wow, do those things sting you? Not like you think, Hardy said. You're part of the daily trail. It's all part of a harmony. One star was so hot it showed, bright and blue in the empty sky. I recognized you right away, I told Hardy. But what happened to your hair? Who chopped it off? I hate to say, don't tell me. They dropped me. Oh no. Oh yeah, I'm AWOL. I'm a bad AWOL. I got to get to Canada. Oh, that's terrible, I said to Hardy. Somehow I think I know some people. Don't worry, you're on your way to Canada. That wall, these dates, has all been erased and they've rolled it up like a scroll and put it away somewhere. Yes, I can touch it with my fingers, but where is it? After a while, Hardy asked Georgie, what do you do for a job? And Georgie said, I save lives. That's the end of it.
I can't get my screen sharing working. Wait, hold on. All right. Just to be clear, at the very end of the story, who knows some people in Canada? Just to be clear.
I think it's Georgie.
It's Georgie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Georgie says, don't worry, Georgie says, we'll get you there. I think because we missed that line. You didn't see it on the screen because I didn't scroll down.
Mm-hmm.
Georgie says, don't worry. Don't worry, Georgie says, we'll get you there. Somehow, I think I know some people. Don't worry. You're on your way to Canada. And is that clear why he's going to Canada?
He's an AWOL. He has deserted.
Does anyone know what AWOL means?
Yeah, absent without leave. Thing.
Absence without leave.
Mm-hmm.
He got drafted to go to Vietnam. He doesn't want to go to Vietnam. Back then there was still a draft. Today there is no draft. So you didn't have a lot of choices. You either go to jail or you go to another country. So a lot of people went to Canada.
So that was because Vietnam was late 60s, 1968, something like that. That's what you said. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe
late 60s, yeah, late 60s, the beginning of 70s.
Yeah, well, Vietnam ended in like 75, I guess.
But it started in 68, I think, no?
Could be. I mean, I'm not exactly sure of the year because I don't know. I don't remember exactly when the draft ended, but I think it might have ended when Vietnam ended, or so. I don't really know the exact date. But Vietnam ended in 75. The Summer of Love was 67, so it's somewhere between 67 and 75 because we hear about the love generation. What do you think about that last line of the story? We can't really talk about it now. We'll talk on Thursday. But just before we go, what do you think about that last line of the story, everyone? After a while, Hardy, the hitchhiker, asked Georgie, what do you do for a job? And Georgie said, I save lives. What do you think the significance of that line is? Group? What do you think? Yuki? Luo, what do you think about that line? It
I
must be
think.
important. It's
Uh,
the last line of the story, right?
I think they said if they go to the other countries to avoid being drafted in the army, they saved their lives. And I think the rabbit is a metaphor because we know the Alice in the Wonderland, the rabbit hole is on the pill to talk about. So I think rabbit is a metaphor for LSD or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, though, if you go the line from what's the song from Grace Slick? If you go chasing rabbits, what's the line? I forgot the song. I'll find it next time. How far down the rabbit hole do they go? You would expect them maybe to go on this crazy drug trip, but in fact, they go chasing white rabbits and they end up saving lives. Well, Georgie saves lives. The other guy doesn't. So maybe it's a metaphor, but also maybe it's something that is sort of against our expectation of two drugged out dudes in the 70s. Because Georgie miraculously saves the lives of the bunnies, which are fetuses inside of the mother rabbit, right? That's kind of an interesting trick. Is that the first trick he's performed? It's not the first one, is it? He saved the life of Terence Weber by pure magic, right? He goes to prep him for surgery. They don't know. They're calling the best brain man in the country to get over there, and meanwhile he just pulls out the knife, and the guy's perfectly okay. Then they run over a rabbit with a tiny rabbit with a giant car, and he comes back with a shirt full of bunnies. He saves the babies. Uh, so this is kind of a story about, yeah, okay, maybe it's about chasing
I
the
think
white rabbit, but
I think it's a story about a hero, some kind of hero of 1917, at the time of Love and Peace. George absorbed in the drug, and he don't know what he's doing factually, but his behavior is very simple and how to say, very pure. So it turned out very useful for many people, and he became a hero. He saved life of this the I man and baby. So
it's pure and
difficult.
simple, and we expect, after this period, we had nothing but propaganda for years and years and years about the evils of drugs, and now drugs are legalized in the United States, practically. So he's kind of remembering a time when, when this stuff everyone was sort of experimenting, and they were experimenting with not just drugs, but life and living differently. And somehow everything turned out okay, despite all the things that they were trying. So I guess it's got something to do with that. That world, he says, these days, it's all been erased. That time is gone. They've rolled it up like a scroll and put it away somewhere. Yes, I can touch it with my fingers, but where is it? So this is all kind of a reminiscence of that time in his life and the time in the life of the country and the culture that's gone. One other thing I would say, just to add to what you said, Yuki, is that the guy seems to perform miracles. He's constantly performing. He doesn't even know how he does it. He's just not thinking. He's like instinctual.
Yes, he instinctual. He behave, and he have no intention. Something. Even he don't understand what it is doing, and he can't remember what he had done. But his behavior works for how to say? It works.
It reminds me. It reminds me. If we just had people pulling off masks, it would be an episode of Scooby Doo, basically.
He's
Because
innocent. Yeah.
they're in a caper, but somehow it all works out. We just need someone to pull off a mask and say, anyway, you got me, Scooby Doo. I don't know. Let's think about that for Thursday. We have to stop because I'm 9 minutes late for the next class and everyone's going to go away. I can't do that. I can't do it to them. Okay, think about that for Thursday. We'll definitely talk about both of these stories. Delmore Schwartz, and I've got something for you to read, which I forgot to post, but I will post it on the document. So if you go back to GSS 15, Great Short Stories 15, I've got
sorry, when it is written, this story? 1970s?
Written? No, recently.
Recently? Sorry.
Yeah, because I read his book, the first book that came out in '96, and I think this is later. I'm not sure. I can find out next time, though. Okay. All right. Look, sorry, we've got to stop. Good job, everyone. Good reading. We'll talk on Thursday about both this and the previous story. I'll be back in just a minute for Getting Results in Business. We're on part 2 of a vocabulary section of how to make an impression. So come back if you're interested in that. Hope to see you soon. See you on Thursday for the next part of Great Short Stories. Bye for now.
Thank you.